يلا يا اخواني ان شاء الله باذن الله it's the last class. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Tonight is 27th of Rabi' al-Thani 1445, 10th of November 2023. And I believe, Ahmad, we're on the 21st meeting of the Furqan. Yes. Correct. Jazakallah khairan. Spotlight me, please. طيب, coming to the last class of the fiqh of the food, and we will be discussing now al-aqiqah. Then the second part of this class will be questions and answers. So, we have finished, alhamdulillah, the udhiyah last time, and we're going to the aqiqah. What does the word means, aqiqah? Aqiqah is pronounced like this, aqiqah, which is the slaughtering that is to be done when the person is born. So when the child is born, this aqiqah will be slaughtered for him. And the aqiqah is the word originally from the word aq, and aq means shaq, to make a split or to make a cut. And it was said to the slaughtered animal to be aqiqah because you slaughtering it. And also the hair that comes out from the head of the child, whether when it comes out from the mother of the womb of his mother, when it comes out, and that hair which is on his head, whether it's from the people or from the animals, also, that is the word aqiqah for that hair. We don't make the plural of aqiqah is to be as in uquq. Uquq means being undutiful. Aqiqah, aqqa al-walid means he has, or the walidain, he was undutiful to his parents, which is not the word which is meant here. And its rule, whether it is compulsory or recommended, or even Abu Hanifa and those who are the holders of the opinion, or they base their verdicts upon more of an opinion, ra'i, ijtihad, rather than the text, they say it is disliked. It is disliked. Say the word aqiqah, to do the aqiqah is disliked according to them. But the correct opinion, it is not to be disliked, not even to be recommended, but it is a must. For verily, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, which is Hadith Aisha, Amarana, Prophet Allah commanded us, أن نعق عن الغلام شاتين, to slaughter two sheep, for the boy, and for the girl, one sheep. So this is a command from the Prophet ﷺ. Not only that, he said, from Al-Hasan and Samurah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, كل غلام مرتهن بعقيقته. Every boy who is born is to be linked or hooked or being ransomed by his aqiqah. So his aqiqah is like something that you need to do it in order to set him free. Murtahanun bi'aqiqatih. And that hadith also tells us it is compulsory. So the correct opinion, it is aqiqah is compulsory upon the person who is in charge of the family. And usually it is the case, the father of the child. So it has to be from the money of the father. Okay? So it is the one who's in charge. If it's not the father, it could be the father is not there, the mother will be there. Let's say the father is dead. So he has to take that aqiqah from the money of the father on the mother, not from the money of the child. He hasn't got money, but let's say that he has had presents and money from other people. It is not from his money. It is from the money of the parents or the one who is in charge of that child. And the person, if he wants to do it on behalf of the father, let's say, or the person who is in charge, he has to take his permission. Otherwise, it will not be accepted. So let's say, for example, this father, he has older sons. And one of the sons had made the aqiqah on behalf of his brother, while his father is there without taking his consent. Then he has to do another aqiqah, because the aqiqah will be only taken from the person who is in charge. And that is, in this case, the father. So the son, if he wants to make it and be dutiful to his father and help him to do the aqiqah, no problem, but he has to take permission. Father, I want to do the aqiqah on behalf of my brother who's born. No problem about that. As for the Prophet ﷺ making aqiqah for Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, and he is not their father, he is their grandfather. He is the maternal grandfather. He is the father of their mother, which is Fatima, because has a number of explanation, number of interpretation. Could be with the permission of Ali radiallahu anh, because the expenses of Al-Hassan al-Hussein is upon the Prophet himself, not upon the parents, and that is Ali and Fatima. May Allah be pleased with them. And also it could be that because the Prophet is a special case where he is awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim, is more of responsible of the believer than themselves responsible of themselves. You understand what I just said? Awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim. He is more responsible to make up for the Muslims, like when he slaughtered his udhiyah. He said, this is for me and for my ummah. For my ummah. So he, the Prophet of Allah, taken on board to take the aqiqah of Al-Hassan al-Hussein. But it cannot be the case on other cases. So the father cannot be, for example, bypassed by the grandfather, except with his permission. Also, there's something as well special about Al-Hassan al-Hussein's aqiqah, because the Prophet of Allah, he commanded us to do 2 sheep for the male, 1 sheep for the female, whereas he had made a sheep for each on Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had slaughtered 1 sheep for Al-Hassan, where he said 2 sheep for a boy, and Al-Hussein 1 sheep, where he said again it is 2 sheep for the male. We have to synchronize by looking at the qawa'id, the principles, that al-qawlu muqaddamun ala al-fi'l. The saying is got more priority than the action. So the Prophet ﷺ said something, did something which is different than what he said. We do not make the saying clashes with the action, but we say that the action, it has to be for a reason. So the saying takes priority, because the action, you see, it is only seen by particular people, whereas the saying is for the whole of the ummah. When the Prophet says something, he is to be addressing the whole of the ummah. I'll give you an example to make sure that you understand this. Prophet of Allah, he said, do not face the Qibla when you urinate or defecate, nor turn your back to the Qibla when you do so. Yet, Abdullah ibn Umar, when he climbed on the house of Hafsa, his sister, which is the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, he saw the Prophet of Allah when he was relieving himself, and that is when they have taken toilets inside their houses, where his back was to the Qibla and he was facing Bilad al-Sham. So he saw this and he had conveyed it to us. We say, well, we leave that to Abdullah ibn Umar. That means he saw it. That's, an action. But this action is limited to whom he had seen it. Whereas the saying of the Prophet of Allah, do not turn or put your back towards the Qibla when you defecate or urinate, is addressing the whole of the Ummah. And we do not say, for example, well, if you are inside the walls, then it is no problem. Whereas if you are in the open space, and then there's a problem. There's no such thing. You could use detail. There's no proof for that. Prophet Allah said, do not turn your back to the Qibla. He didn't say if you are in an open space like a desert, or if you are in a wall, no problem. Between 2 walls, no problem. He didn't say that. So we don't have to clash the saying with the actions. We just say that the sayings always takes precedence over the actions. And that is a principle to learn it all the time. Saying of the Prophet of Allah takes and overrules anything that is with his actions. As I said, we have lots of ahadith. Prophet of Allah, he said, La tuwasilu. Do not join the day with the day when you fast. So when you fast the day and you want to follow the fast day, the following day, you cannot join. That means you have to eat somehow to break between the 2 days. Yet the Prophet of Allah, from his actions, he made muwasala. And that's a specialty for him. Prophet of Allah, he don't make wisal, but he himself did wisal in Ramadan. The last of Ramadan, he did wisal. And that is, as I said, this is a specialty for the Prophet of Allah because he said that Allah gives me the food and gives me the drink, where it is not the case for you. Now, also, you need to know that what is required here is the sheep, not anything else. So it's not rabbits or chickens, nor it is even cows or camels. So cows and camels, that is in the udhiyah, but not in the aqiqah. Aqiqah is the sheep. And if they use the black sheep, is called sheep, yes, shia, which is. So you can take it from the black ones or the white ones, sheep or the goats, no problem. It's called shia, but not the camels, not the cows. And of course, you have a difference among the scholars regarding this issue. It is recommended to make aqiqah upon yourself if you found out that your parents did not make aqiqah on you. So if your parents did not make aqiqah on you because maybe you're a revert, or you are a Muslim from a Muslim family, but your Muslim family did not make aqiqah, regardless of the reason, then it is recommended because the Prophet ﷺ, he made aqiqah on himself when he was sent as a prophet. That means when he was 40 years old. This hadith in Silsila Sahiha 2726 of Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah. So the haqiqah, a person to do it in himself when he gets older. Now the haqiqah, as we said, it is compulsory. The person might say, I'm not financially capable. If he's financially capable of borrowing money, let him do so, because the aqiqah doesn't cost that money. If he's really poor, there's no aqiqah required. But I don't think the person these days will be poor, to pay £120 for a sheep. 2 sheep will be 240. But let's say he is really, totally down. Then we would say there's no aqiqah upon him. Well, there's no harm. Actually, it's encouraged for you to borrow the money, and then later on, slowly, you could pay it back. So the aqiqah is important. There's no need when the aqiqah is to be slaughtered to mention the name. There's no such thing. So if you want to make aqiqah with the butcher, you don't need to tell him the name of the child. So you could say, in the name of Allah, I want to make aqiqah to such and such child. You don't need to say that. We said 2 sheep for the boy, 1 sheep for the girl. No problem to add, but not to deduct. Minimum is 2 sheep for the boy. But let's say I want to make 3 sheep for the boy and 3 sheep for the girl. No problem, as long as you are not intending to do mubaha. Mubaha, boasting. Mubaha means boasting. Now the aqiqah, there is no condition for it regarding the aqiqah itself, the sheep, nor there is a condition for you to slaughter it where the child was born. So he's born in England, you make aqiqah in Africa, no problem. Sunnah is to make the aqiqah where you are so you could really eat from it, but no problem. So we don't say the aqiqah will not be valid. And also, there's no condition for the aqiqah itself like the udhiyah. Meaning the udhiyah has to be al-jadha'. If you remember, we said 6 months from the sheep. And we said minimum of 2 years of the goats, 2 years from the cows, 5 years from the camels. Whereas the case of the aqiqah, it doesn't matter. How? It's really young, skinny sheep, no problem. Ill sheep, no problem. Whereas the udhiyah not allowed to do with the one-eyed, the one which has got blindness, the one which is crippled. That is not the case with the aqiqah. You could do it with any. But of course, the better the aqiqah, the more expensive, the more rewarded you are. So no conditions. Also, there's no conditions for you, that is to give all of it to the poor people who, I mean, there's no such thing. There's no obligation upon you to have the aqiqah to be cooked. They're inviting people. The aqiqah is only done by the slaughtering. Once you slaughtered, aqiqah is being completed. So after that, it's left for you to decide whether you want to divide the meat and give it to the friends of yours. The more you give to the poor, the more rewarded you are. You want to eat as much as you want from it. You want to give as much as you want from it. It's left for you. Okay? It's left for you to decide. So the aqiqah is actually shedding the blood. That is the whole thing about the aqiqah. But to call people to invitation that's cooked aqiqah, and you think it is the sunnah, it is not the sunnah. Now the aqiqah has times, and this time difference among the scholars, but the correct opinion, it is timed like the udhiyah. The udhiyah is to be slaughtered on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. You got the 11th and 12th and 13th after that. That means 4 days altogether. If you made the udhiyah before that, it's not udhiyah, or after that, it's not udhiyah. Could be sadaqah, could be a sheep that you want to barbecue for yourself, but it's not an udhiyah, sacrificial. It has to be within that time. It's the same thing according to the correct opinion of the scholars regarding the time of the aqiqah. Is to be slaughtered on the 7th day after the birth of the child. To be slaughtered on the 7th day after the birth of the child. So if he's born during the night, you count from the moment of the night. Okay, so you count from the moment of the night. So this is the 7th 24 hours after his birth. And this is the target of yours. That if you didn't have the option, then there is a 14th. But there is no such thing to aim for the 14th from the beginning. That's incorrect. You have to aim for the 7th. If you can't, for any certain reason, there's no butchers to do that for you on that 7th, then the 14th. Can't do it on the 14th, and the last chance for you to do it on the 21st. After that, correct opinion, there is no option, there is no chance for you to do it again. It's for the child when he grows up, he will do the aqiqah on himself. That is the case. But for you to do the aqiqah in any day, then what is the point of the Prophet of Allah had timed this aqiqah to be the 7th, the 14th, the 21st? If any day is okay, and there is no need for the Prophet of Allah to specify the 7th, then if you can't the 14th, then if you can't the 21st. طيب. Now we come to what is recommended regarding the born child when he's born. First thing, tahniq. Tahniq is actually to chew a bit of dates in your mouth, put some of it into your finger, and then push your finger inside the mouth of the child and start moving from one side to another, so that the child would suck your finger with the dates on it. And that the Prophet of Allah had done to a number of the children of the companions. Abu Musa, he says that I had a child was born for me. I came to Prophet ﷺ with a child. So he called him Ibrahim, and he made tahniq for him with a date. And he called for blessings for him, barakah, and then he gave him to me. But you see, the tahniq is to be done by the parents. It's not from the sunnah to carry your child to a shaykh or a student of knowledge or a speaker or mufti sab, to the imam of the masjid, please make tahniq for me. That is incorrect. That was for the Prophet ﷺ, because the Prophet of Allah's saliva is different. But because we think there's barakah in it, that's not correct. So the tahniq is to be done by the parents. What are the benefits and the theme and wisdom behind this technique. Number one, you're implementing the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And if it is the case, it's enough as to be a hikmah, wisdom. I'm just following the Prophet of Allah. And if it is